Feminism is one of those topics that just keeps on coming up over and over again in various forms. It gets talked about for a while, and there's a lot of sound and fury from everyone, and then it's gone. Inevitably, it seems to become a muddled issue due to definition problems, or various factions that all call themselves feminists, but are actually in bitter ideological struggles with each other. If you're like me and passionate about lots of different issues, or even if feminism is the issue you're most concerned with, it's nearly impossible to define who's a feminist or what constitutes feminism. I think that means it's time for a paradigm shift. When I hear buzzwords like patriarchy and male privilege, it immediately puts whatever's being discussed in the realm of some philosophical land of the clouds for me, where some fuzzy idea lives about what is or is not best for over 50% of the world's population. I can't even think of another term or system of thought that would even dare to advocate for that kind of blanket coverage of how humans should think or act toward each other outside of religion. To push issues that are most important to women forward without confusion, I think it's time to be more specific about what everyone is advocating for. And without a single joke about sandwiches. Wait, did that count as a joke about sandwiches? Human interaction is not a one-size-fits-all prospect, and it never will be. I learned long ago that it is practically useless to object to the harmless personal preferences of how people want to be treated, yet I still see adults on YouTube telling both men and women, "You should like what I like." Even though most of the issues are about as likely to reach a conclusion as two people arguing about whose taste in music is better, I still see the arguments take place. There's a whole spectrum of preferences out there, and instead of generalizing, I try to base my behavior more on respect for the expressed wishes of others. Some women would rather I not always hold the door for them, and I completely respect that. Other women want me to smack their ass and call them honey buns, and I completely respect that too. That just doesn't happen nearly as often. This does leave a lot of room for ambiguity. I was on a metro train in DC last week coming home from a business trip, and I took a seat while someone who appeared to be a businesswoman, probably in her 50s, was also standing next to me, and I had one of those moments of ambiguity. Do I not offer to give up the seat and potentially look like a jerk for being selfish, or do I offer the seat and look like a jerk for assuming she's less capable of standing than I was? I took the latter course, and she politely declined with perhaps a hint of "nice of you but not necessary" in her voice. Point being, much as it would be easier in these situations to generalize what people want, it will never work that way, no matter what ideology is being sold that promises to help a group conform to an ideal. There just isn't any shortcut for individual knowledge. So my proposal is that instead of feminism, let's talk about what we are specifically advocating for. Personally, I advocate for full reproductive rights for women. I advocate for equal pay for equal work. I advocate for equal opportunity, but I reject any demand that all women need to have the same aspirations in order to live up to what any particular community believes, which really goes for all people. These are issues where women could use some help, but thankfully are catching up. On the other hand, there are men's rights groups that are equally poorly named that advocate for more equal treatment for men in the court system, which I think is probably overdue as well. It would actually make more sense for this to be called legal or court equality instead of men's rights. Watch Dear Zachary on Netflix for an example of why this type of equality is important. As humans, in order to be properly understood, we have to communicate and be clear. Let's talk in concrete terms, not ideological buzzwords and shortcuts designed to bludgeon people when they don't conform to your idea of what a man or woman should act like. Even if the feminism term is a lost cause as a coherent system of thought or political strategy, there are plenty of issues where women could use more help in the fight against those who would rather make them second-class citizens, especially in an election year. That's a cause worth fighting for, right, Rick? Oh, yeah, you got a little Santorum right there.